Hey, before you go, quick question. Do you have a signature speech? You know, that one go-to talk that not only wows your audience, but also grows your business every time you deliver it? If you don't, or if yours could use a little polishing up, my program, In Demand Signature Speech, is designed to help you create a talk that's clear, impactful, and 100% you. No cookie cutter scripts here, just a proven framework that works every time. And guess what? The waitlist is open. Joining gets you early access, exclusive bonuses, and the first chance to snag your spot when the doors do open. So if 2025 is the year that you finally step into the spotlight and grow your visibility through speaking, head on over to speakandstandout.com/SS for signature speech and get on the waitlist now. Your audience is waiting. Let's make your message unforgettable. Welcome back to the final episode of this book writing series. I'm your host, Laurie-Ann, and if this is your first time listening to one of my podcasts, you are listening to Be in Demand. And this podcast is all about how to leverage speaking events, how to leverage the stage as your best form of marketing. So if you're a coach, a consultant, or a service provider, you are in the right place because there are so many opportunities for you to be getting in front of audiences filled with your ideal clients. But I want you to look like a pro. And this entire month has been about writing a book because a book is a form of a stage, because I believe that stages needs to be redefined. This whole episode, I am just going to answer some questions, some burning questions that people have been asking me. And I think that this is a beautiful way to wrap this special series up. There is so much more that I could have dove into with this book writing series, but I can't possibly cover everything in 1 month. So let's just dive into some of these great questions that have been submitted by you. First one. How do I know if my idea is a good idea for a book? I hear this all the time, which is exactly why I tell people you've got to write the right book and really deciding, what do you want the book to do for you? What's the gift you want to give your audience, the reader? And most importantly, if you're going to be speaking so that you can have your book to sell at the back of the room, how is your speech and your book, how are they going to fit oh so nicely together? Because the last thing that I want for you to do is to have a book and a speech and they're on completely different things and there's no way to really connect them, and even to have a meeting planner understand how they actually fit together. Because if people are confused, they're not going to book you. So ask yourself, does this idea for my book actually connect to my offers? Does it connect to my speaking topics? If yes, you are onto something. So go write that book. Here's another great question. Should I write a how-to or share a personal story, or a little bit of both? Well, I think you can do anything that you feel is really in alignment with your brand. So both of my books have been modern day parables. I've got clients who have written actually personal memoirs, personal stories to tell their lessons. But again, it always fits in really nicely with the rest of your business. I just found it to be a little bit easier to write a modern day parable. And I also know that human beings, if they're being entertained, they actually learn so much better. It makes learning just an easier process. So that is the main reason why I wrote a parable. If you look at the author, Patrick Lencioni, if you've read any of his books, they're all modern day parables. And they're all extremely entertaining to read while you're learning lessons. So that's a decision that you're going to have to make. But I also feel that if you are a speaker, then you're already telling stories. Maybe you want to consider a parable, or maybe you want to combine the two of them together. Here's a modern day parable, but then you have this other chapter that dives deep into the lessons, the learning, the why, the science. This is going to be a personal decision. I hope that you don't procrastinate over and really make this particular idea of do I go with the personal story, the parable, or the how-to book? Just don't let it stop you. Maybe you just want to get started writing one of them and then decide from there. The third question, how do I make sure that my book actually leads to clients and speaking opportunities? And I would go back to episode 340, where I talk about starting with the end in mind. This is exactly how I write speeches, exactly how I write books. You've got to set those two goals. What do you want the book to do for you? What do you want the book to do for the reader? Because seriously, a book without a plan is really just a paperweight, and it's just going to end up on someone's bookshelf and they're never going to read it. And that's the last thing that we want. So create the book with a strategy in mind. And if you want more help on this, feel free to DM me. I've done this with so many of my clients to help them really make sure that they are writing the right book. So you can send me a DM or you can just book a call down below. I'll make sure that that link is in the show notes. All right, number 4. This one's one of my favorites. Is it better to self-publish or try to get a traditional publisher? I have self-published both of my books and all of my workbooks. And I have friends who have done both. They've done the traditional publisher and they've also done the self-publishing. And hands down, anybody who has done both, they always say self-publishing is so much easier. And you don't lose anything. And what I mean by lose, you don't lose, 1, profits, and number 2, they get say on what's actually going to be in the book. So you actually have full ownership when you self-publish. I would say the biggest benefit to working with a traditional publisher is the name, but there are so many publishers out there now. It's not just Wiley who actually is going to look at like how many people are on your email list, how many people are following you socially, because they want to make sure that if they say yes to your book, that those books are going to sell. So there's a lot that goes into working with a traditional publisher. But keep in mind, there are also hybrid publishers. But if you're just getting your first book out there, and this is what I was thinking when I was writing my first book, was I didn't want anybody's permission. I just wanted to get it done and get my work out into the world. And I also had a date. Here was a date. I had a speaking event that was on the calendar, and I needed to make sure that I had those books in hand. I literally, the day that I was speaking, because I was speaking early evening, I drove an hour and a half to Portland, Maine to pick up my books because that was the printer that I had used was up there. They do a lot of short run books because a lot of book publishing, even like self-publishing companies that are out there, they'll make you buy like hundreds and hundreds of books. And they actually have, this particular company does short run. So I had a date on the calendar, so nothing could get in the way. And I would also add that today, self-publishing is so much easier. So you need to ask yourself, do you really need somebody else's permission to say, yes, you have a good book idea. Yes, we're going to help you publish this. And if the answer is no, then I think that the options that you have on the table are either a hybrid model or self-publishing and doing it all yourself. The next question, what if I'm not a good writer? I hear this all the time. Writing is a skill. It is something that you actually get good at. And I didn't ever consider myself to be a good writer, as a matter of fact. I remember as I decided to write a book, you know what came back for me? All those memories from elementary, junior high, high school, even college, where it was just like, you're not a good writer. You struggle with writing. You're not even a good speller. Thank you, spell check. But there's so many different ways to actually write a book. And I didn't share this with you earlier, but my first book, I actually physically typed. My second book, I actually dictated. And I would send the recordings to somebody who would transcribe it. All right. Now that there are much easier and there are lots of different apps that could have done this for me, but this was what I did way back then. And it's just another option. I did it that way because I wanted to actually see, would I like to do this? Now, with the audio transcription, I then still had to go through and really fill in the blanks because it was actually a little choppy. So, what's the easiest way? Because another way is that you actually could work with a ghostwriter. Here's the most important thing to keep in mind. Your first draft is not supposed to be good. You are writing for the trash can. You need something to edit. So just get your thoughts on paper. Start crafting things. There are so many ways that you're going to be able to smooth out the wrinkles, as I like to call it, because you're going to work with an editor. And I would say, like today, you can be running your manuscripts through AI to be able to get all those grammar mistakes and spelling mistakes out of there, and then go back over it with a human being and actually read and make sure it sounds like it's supposed to sound. Here's another popular question. How long should my book be? And this is a great question. You do not need to be writing Harry Potter. It doesn't have to be a 300-page book. As a matter of fact, the first book is 100 pages and then the second book became 110 pages. It doesn't have to be long. But I also don't want you to ramble on if you don't need to ramble on. Now, both of my books are intentionally short because I wanted people to finish them. Some of the comments that I got from my first book, because the lessons are short, the chapters are short, it's a short book, it's 100 pages, is that people would read the first chapter and really dive into the 3 questions that I had at the end of each chapter and really think about it. And they wouldn't even allow themselves to move on to the next chapter. And I had got the same sort of feedback, even with the second book. They were like, I wanted to know what was happening with the main character, but I really wanted to just sit with what I had just learned with that first chapter. And again, one of my trademarks is that there are questions at the end of each chapter that I want the reader to really deepen the learning, really think about. So approach how long your book should be from this point of view. How long is it going to take you to teach the audience, the reader, what they need to know? Do not ramble on. Do not give example after example after example, just like maybe like 1 or 2 examples that actually seals the deal, hones in on your message, on the lesson that you're trying to teach people. And again, that would be if you're doing a how-to book. But if you're doing a modern day parable like I've done, it can just be a lot of fun to write and a lot of fun for your reader. The bottom line is give yourself permission that it does not have to be a 200 to 250 page book, because that's just going to kill your momentum and you're going to procrastinate and it's going to take even longer for your book to get out there. All right, here's another question. Should I write my book before or after I've built my business? Well, I'm assuming that if you're listening to this podcast, that you probably already have some sort of a business, and maybe it's a side hustle that you want to become your main hustle. So you've already started something. I don't want you to be delaying on either writing your book because you haven't started your business, and I don't want you to delay on starting your business because you don't have a book. The two can go hand in hand. I just want to see that you've got some sort of a repeatable process, something that you are teaching people, something that you want to be known for. So if you've helped anybody one-on-one or maybe in a small group format, you're like, there you go. There's your proof that you can get those repeatable results for people. And here's a bonus when, especially if you're new or if you are somebody who has been in business for a while and maybe you haven't crafted a framework. Writing out your process is actually going to help you clarify your framework. As a matter of fact, I used to do in-demand signature speech basically only as private clients. You had to work with me one-on-one to actually write your speech. And it wasn't until I had a coach who said, could you do this in a group format? And I was like, yeah, I think I could. And it really helped me fine tune the in-demand signature speech framework. I knew exactly what each module needed to be, because that was her second question was, okay, great. You can make it as a group program. How many weeks and what is in each week? What would you be teaching them? And that's what helped me really clarify my framework. So I would say the same thing. Writing a book is going to help you clarify your framework, your unique methodology, how you help people. So those are some great questions that were submitted. And I hope this whole month, this whole book writing series has really inspired some ideas in you to consider using a book as another stage. It's another great way for you just to put on paper, to know that when you leave this world, your body of work is still going to be around, is still going to exist, is still going to help people. And having a book, I mean, just going through the process of writing a book is going to change you. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I got from writing a book is that I heard so many other people say, yeah, like I've authored this book and I've authored that book. And it's like, oh, wow. When I would go to events and see people's books, like the speakers, and just being like, wow, like they did this. And I wanted to be able to do that. And when I first started, I mean, there are some obstacles to overcome, but those obstacles are really between your ears. It's overcoming those limiting beliefs. Can I do this? Should I do this? I don't think I'm good enough. Somebody's already written on this. There's so many things that are going to come up for you. And what a great personal development project is by writing the book and getting over that and having something oh so physical. I love to be able to mail my private clients copies of my book. It's like, here's a special gift, and I get to sign it for them. And it's especially wonderful for those people who have not written a book yet. It inspires them that they can do this also, because now they're holding a physical copy of my book in their hands. So if you haven't thought that, I can't write a book, somebody's already written one like this, I could never do this, I don't have time, I want you to really reconsider that. You do have time. You just need to make it a priority. And believe me, if you start setting some dates like you want to have this done ASAP, you'll get it done ASAP. Pull out your calendar and start marking off a couple of hours where you are just going to have focused writing time. And if writing a book is something that has been on your to-do list and you want to finally get it done, feel free to book a call with me at speakandstandout.com/speaker-success. That link is down below. And I'll help you clarify your book idea and let you know, do I see the congruence of this book with your business model, with what you want to be speaking and talking about? So until next week, I want you to be in demand.